Test. Check. 1, 2.
I do a lot of television. Like, I know there's a truck someplace.
Right.
I know what's going out there. I turned around and the guy flag, the guy with Firehouse. He said, "Yeah, we're bringing audio mix up." You know, he said, at that point he was wondering, was the council still open? Did we want to deal with that? And I said, "No, man. You do it. This guy's dead." So I sat there with this guy. We sat there with communication to the audio truck. And basically told, hey, bring this mic up. Okay, things are getting ready to come up. Do this, do that, you know.
So it's like doing a television gig where they won't let you touch the console.
Well, it was one of those situations where I know he's only got 2 mixes. He's only got 2 mixes there. I knew that the audio truck was around. I said I could try to find the audio truck. It would take me at least a half an hour to get down to that floor and then find the guy and find the people to talk to. And all this time, I'm thinking live TV.
Right.
You know, I said, my main job is get the microphones open as quickly as possible. We got that stuff up. He even had the guys send us the vocals on a separate strip so we have a little bit more control over it. You know,
right.
Because what he was hearing in the truck had nothing to do with
now,
it.
It was, I was really impressed, and I don't know whose idea it was, but they did a acoustic version of Blowing in the Wind.
Steve is a genius.
Yeah. I don't know where that guitar came from. I don't know where that mic came from, but they found a live mic and a live guitar.
Well, the thing was, we had everything open up there, and we've done those tunes before. Steve lots of times will do whatever's off the top of his head, and we had sort of a script to follow. But we couldn't follow the script because he didn't know the console was open. That's when he jumped to the other stuff, and it was brilliant.
It was, and it was a brilliant moment. It was chills.
And when he realized all the mics were open and everything was happening, at that point he started following the script. We brought Smokey out and all.
Right. Now that one had a script, but you say on a regular gig he'll just kind of do what's on stuff off the top of his head.
He does what he feels. We have a couple of audience mics inside the stage, which basically acts as his eyes for the audience.
Okay. And
he'll get a feel for what he feels out there, and he'll do whatever he feels the audience wants. And 9 times out of 10, it's right on the money.
Now, does that make your job harder?
It makes my job very interesting.
Yeah.
Because you'll go down the sheet and you're thinking, okay, this tune's coming up, and all of a sudden it turns into something else.
Right.
Or he'll start doing tunes that nobody knows how to play. He has musicians that good that they'll fall in and
then, wow, with the digital thing and plugins versus outboard boxes. Is there? Do you have a preference? Do you see any difference between the modeled stuff and because you've been in the studio forever,
I find the hardware gear is much better. It's much more headroom. It has more personality. And usually when you do using the plugin guy is trying to emulate what that stuff
absolutely
did.
Yeah.
And some guys are very good, but the real good plugins cost a lot of money. And like for instance, I know with the Digidesign stuff, the venue, you can't use regular Waves plugins and stuff.
No, you've got to use the TDM stuff.
You've got to buy a $10,000 package from them.
Yeah.
And I got to be truthful with you. The regular package, they're okay, but they aren't exactly wonderful. The stuff like algorithmics and things like that, those plugins cost $1,000 a pop,
right,
mastering wise, and they're very close to the hardware stuff.
But they're $1,000 a pop.
They're $1,000 a pop. You're not going to find that out in the world lots of times. I got all this stuff. I found out most of my stuff won't work on that. So.
Right. Okay.
So I just assume bring an SDC-8 or something like that.
And that way you've got what you need.
That's what I have out front there.
anything, you know, before we wrap it up, because you got a show to mix.
Well, for me, the audience is everything, and I try to mix the show so there's a certain amount of excitement, and I want it to feel real. I use a lot of Omni microphones, which guys look at me like crazy. I'm like,
You use a lot of Omnis on stage?
You've got mail.
yeah. I use very good Omnis. So I have like we have two big gigantic percussion rigs, right?
Okay.
And guys had all of this stuff, and I said, okay, now I could easily pull up, 10 or 15 microphones, try to make
Right.
everything. And I was like, yeah, but then again, you're getting the phasing that isn't really
Right.
that stuff's heard. So what I did was I used a B&K 4006 Omni, or DPA now,
Right.
on one side, and I used another Omni on the other side, and basically told the candidate, look, don't worry about the microphones. If you play anything in this particular area,
It's going to be heard.
I'm going to hear it. So I hear the bells, the chinks, with the shakers and all, anything he decides to play, I hear it, and it feels like it would sound if you were there. It doesn't feel
Right.
what I call. It doesn't feel like it's like microphones are on it. I love that. So I do that for both the toys, and I use that on both keyboard, both percussion guys. On
Okay.
either side of that, of course, I have close mics on the congas and that kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
But all the pings and zings and bings and junk
And
like
toys and stuff, yeah.
that. Yeah, that's all on this stuff. And if you roll the low end off down, it's not gonna roll the system off. It feels open, and any leakage that comes in is on axis, and it works.
That's very cool.
These days, quite frankly, the clarity that you can get, not just volume, but clarity that you get out of the systems.
It's
the whole
amazing.
Back is the actual the venues and stuff. But I do have one theory. I think that in the studio these days, a lot of guys who are, computer whizzes. I run into situations where guys are on 57 from 87.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and I find that out on the road, because guys have to deal with microphones now, I really believe that your next tier of really great engineers are going to come from the road, because they're still dealing with microphones and dealing with musicians on a live basis. It was easy for me because I came at a time in the studio when you put a bunch of bodies in the room
And recording.
and you had to roll with it. I was also around when it went back to all of a sudden one guy being recorded to death,
Right.
And I find the situation you have a lot of engineers who used to dealing with one track at a time and stuff. When they come out on the road and they have to deal with
It's a whole different trip.
40 at once, yeah, it's a trip. Well, you got guys who've been out here dealing with that a long time, and for them to make the transition the other way, I think isn't quite as hard as going from.
That's very interesting. I've never had anybody say that before, but I think you may be right. Okay, well, let's let you go mix a show, and thank you very much for the time. And
Well, thank you.
again, I want to say, and I want to get this on video, I was so impressed. I've been the editor of Front of House since it started, and there's been a number of incidents. There was the infamous Celine Dion thing at the Grammys, where her ears went out, and there was all kinds of things. And every time it's like, the readers want to know what happened. I was online and getting email from readers as it was happening, going, "What the hell is going on?" And nobody wants to talk about it. And I didn't even say anything to you, and I got an email that said, "I just got my copy of Front of House. I see you wanted to know what's going on," and he laid it out, and I was just so impressed because there was no spin, there was no blame, there was just like, okay, here's the facts, this is what happened, and this is how we handled it, and that impressed me more than it impressed me a lot.
Thank you.
So, well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
and I think we're done.